When I would get triggered, right? When I'm in survival mode, I'm not gonna lie, I've been in survival mode for probably almost 20 years. Maybe even before that, but I know as an adult, I've been in like survival mode and like get triggered, and then defense comes out, and the social mask is on duty. What can someone do to cheer you up when life gets hard? Um, Immediately, just show me my kids. My kids, I mean, show me my daughter, you know, show me something about what she's doing, because she's crazy creative, ambitious, all of that shit. But my god kids and any other person's kids that I've met in my life that is like, under my wing, if you will. You know what I'm saying? That values me as like I say a figure into their life. I won't say father, just a figure into their life. Because for me, I feel like they're untainted, right? So they're pure. Don't get me wrong, we made mistakes when we were teenagers and, little kids and shit like that, but I feel like there's still room for them. And what's crazy is, like, if there's still room for them, there's still room for us, you know what I'm saying? Because at one point in time, we were them. But what I mean by that is just that, the level of innocence and influence, we can show them so much more than what we allowed ourselves to get into. So those of us that have had gone through traumatic shit in our lives, whether it be physically, emotionally, sexually, neglect, all those things, that has taken us to the point where we felt like we were suffering, and then we had to go to a form of addiction of some sort, be it drugs, alcohol, sex, church, gambling, pills, whatever it is, TV, phone, all these things, social media. Yes, showing me my kids, number one, is probably the way to kind of cheer me up, because they give me hope. They're my inspiration. When I see, like my guy kids doing things and, talking to their parents and them showing me what they got going on, and seeing my own kid, learning what she's doing, it never ceases to amaze. And you know what I mean? And there's nothing that she has to do to be loved by me. She literally she's loved doing nothing, you know what I mean? Like literally nothing, being a bum. If she chose that route, like she would still be loved by me just the same. Just seeing her, that's the inspiration. It's a reminder that I'm here for something. It's part of my why, you know what I'm saying? You gotta remember your why when you're going through life, and you see things from a negative perspective. Because really it's all about what you how you see things. And if you see things from a negative perspective, if you focus on the negative, of course you're not going to feel the most positive in that moment. However, if you learn to detach from the situation, kind of back up and just look at things from over here versus when you're like in the huddle, like backing away from everything and just looking, you'll see things just a little bit differently. Also, watching anything with Mike Epps in it. I love classroom comedy. Like for me, Mike Epps is classroom comedy. Like it's not even the shit that he says that's funny, it's how he says it. Well, a little bit of what he says, but you know what I mean? Like it's just really the delivery. The delivery is big to me. Same with Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy, Martin, Jim Carrey. I'm not able to look at Jim Carrey with a straight face, and I've gotten so accustomed to watching Martin over the years that I mean I know the lines. Anybody that's been around me and Martin is on, and I'm probably reciting all the lines and shit, but it still brings that joy. You know what I'm saying? It's still cheerful. What else? Having a conversation about mental health too. Yeah, that's another thing. That because you get to talk about whatever's going on inside. A lot of times we feel a certain way because we keep everything so bottled up, and we don't feel like we can share that information without being judged or, you know what I'm saying, picked on, whatever. And I like to try to create that environment where one can feel free to kind of share whatever's on their mind, because I get nothing out of it. I'm literally just I'm just a wall in the room that you can bounce it off of, because it comes right back to your sound. You know, once you say it out yourself, you know what I'm saying, like you're able to fix things out. Like I gain nothing by whatever information that you're sharing. I mean, I want to show that I'm listening, of course. I want you to know that your words are valued, your thoughts are valued, and all that shit. But as for like me taking it and running here, I don't get much of it. You know, I don't get anything out of that. You know what I'm saying? What else can someone do to cheer me up? Oh yeah, the beach, of course. Yeah, definitely like sit doing nothing at the beach. Try it. You know, nothingness. It's been my favorite word lately after watching that Brene Brown series. But like sitting there doing nothing for 15 minutes, just being there. Don't have to talk about anything. Nothing has to go on. Just sitting there, allowing your brain to reset. You know, without anything else going on. So yeah, my kids. Yeah, definitely my kids. Comedy. Comedy always helps. You know what I'm saying? Or inspirational movie like Rocky or Creed or Remember the Titans. Any of those inspirational movies. Glory Road. Like watching something like that will definitely inspire, because you get to see the person go against adversity and overcome it, and you can almost put yourself in that perspective as to what you're going through, like trying to overcome adversity. Because a lot of times we get the negative voices in our heads and just pretty much saying, it's not even our voice, because we wouldn't say that we couldn't do something, because you definitely would tell your friend that they could do it. But in our head, it's like, you know, you're not able to do it, you're not good enough. That thing about not being good enough, which I'll touch in later on in this episode. But yeah, my kids, comedy, and the beach. How do you manage when feeling overwhelmed? When I get overwhelmed, what I like to do is breathe. Like number one, just breathe. Try not to do anything, but work on breathe. Focus on your breathing, like your breath as it's coming in, and focus on your breath as it's going out. I learned that a little while back when I first started meditating, maybe like 3 years ago. Like 3 years ago when I first started meditating, reading books a hell of a lot more than I ever did in my life, and starting therapy, it really helped ease my mind on a lot of things. My issue is trying to fix 20 things at the same time, at the same efficiency rate, and it's not. I'm gonna say it's not impossible. It's just not probable. And what I like to do now is just write things down. I like to write things down, get it out of my head so it's on paper. You know what I'm saying? One thing I want to commend one of my friends that love to write, right? Writes everything. Everything can be, the thoughts were just put together so well through like her notes and shit. and I saw like the rawness of it. You know what I mean? And it was inspiring. You know, it kind of helped me see things a little bit differently. Because I mean, I didn't really write like that. What I like to do is get in front of the world and kind of blab that shit versus writing it down. But what I started to do was journaling. You know, I journaled a little bit more frequently than I did once seeing that whole like the notes and shit, like being able to write shit down and to feel every emotion and all that, right? And but journaling is another thing that helps. I'm due for a new journal entry soon, but there was I mean, like when I'm overwhelmed, I first have to ask myself, what exactly am I getting overwhelmed about? And then, is it worth it? I remind myself that I'm loved unconditionally, so I don't need to do anything to get a particular thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that, at least in my head. Now in the world, that's a little bit differently. As a man, yeah, you gotta do, there's some things you gotta do to get respect in this world as a man. But I allow myself to, again, just sit still. Sit still, that's the latest thing, you know. Sitting still and just doing nothing. What I know when I would get triggered, right? When I'm in survival mode, I'm not gonna lie, I've been in survival mode for probably almost 20 years. Maybe even before that, but I know as an adult, I've been in like survival mode and like get triggered, and then defense comes out, and the social mask is on duty and protects me from any form of harm or attack that may come about, right? But in survival mode, my fight or flight is commonly the freeze or the flight. Fighting in different things. I used to respond very, very emotionally, a lot more than what one may say I do as of recent, but a hell of a lot more like, just angry, like angry responses, like a kid having a tantrum type shit, right? But assessing the situation while within it is something that is a skill of emotional intelligence, and it takes practice. Lord knows it takes practice to kind of weather the storms within your mind, so that you can make the best decision. You never want to make a permanent decision on temporary emotion. I'll say that again. You never want to make a permanent decision off of a temporary emotion. I mean, I'll show something from my life. No, me and a friend of mine got upset. You know what I did? I got rid of, I think it was one form of a streaming account that, we were both sharing and shit. And it was an emotional decision. I can't even front. It was some beta shit, I was like, nope, taking my ball, going home. No. Like removing the shit, right? And then it's like, it was a permanent decision based off of temporary emotion because, we got into a disagreement of some sort, right? Misunderstanding, if you will. But that's why you talk things out. And, but that's trauma. That's childhood coming out. Your anger is your wounded inner child, and trying to fend that shit off daily is a fucking mission for me. I do my, like I said, I do my damnness. That's why I try to hold such, stoic, mindset and stoic frame. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not perfect by any means. There's things that can get to me. There's triggers for sure, and I just do my best to kind of work with them. But getting overwhelmed, break shit down. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't major in minor things, as Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins likes to say. Don't major in minor things. So shit that doesn't really matter. Monitor the fucks you give daily. Is another great quote. Monitor the fucks you give daily. everything doesn't deserve that. It doesn't require your emotions. You know what I'm saying? Your mind on it, your thoughts and shit. Yeah. And as you focus on it, that energy goes to it. The more you focus on the pink elephant, the bigger the pink elephant gets in your mind. You know what I'm saying? So it's like telling yourself to not think about the pink elephant. And I'm sure some of you right now are thinking about the pink elephant. It's like a therapy joke, where they say, don't think about the pink elephant, So it's like trying to control your thoughts, mind your thoughts, and in a way that allows you to be in the present moment. Like, we should not be thinking, we should be doing more than we are thinking. Don't get me wrong, we want to think about things, but some of us, because of our trauma, because of the things that we went through, we think more than we probably should. And we make sure ain't nobody about to get over on us. You know what I'm saying? We don't want nobody to try to trick us the way that we were tricked in the past. And everyone doesn't know who's good and who's bad. And good and bad is all perspective, right? So all of us are doing the best we can to protect ourselves, whether we know it or not. You know what I'm saying? For the girl who's not willing to open up to the guy because she doesn't know if he's going to hurt her. For the guy who's not paying much, that not open to love and shit like that just yet because of what it did the last time he opened up and shit. It's protection. It's trying to protect yourself. Fear. And we all deal with fear in different ways. So overwhelming feelings. When I get overwhelmed, I try to sit still. I sit still, and I recognize when the ego is at the wheel, or the inner child. You know what I'm saying? The wounded inner child. And once you recognize, like in the book A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, he states, once you recognize the ego is at controlling the situation, the ego's no longer in control. So it's like you're seeing yourself outside of yourself. And it's been helpful. It's been helpful for me in many ways. So I hope that this excerpt has been able to help a lot of people who may be struggling with those things. And I battle this daily inside my head, and among other things that go on. But you recognize your strength within yourself, and there's power in being alone and learning to be alone, by yourself when you go through shit. Self-soothing. It's great to have a support system, don't get me wrong, but the more you desire something, the more you suffer. So if you're sitting there man, I wish I had my friends there and shit like that, the more you focus on what you don't have, the more you're going to suffer. But when you recognize the strength and the poise that you have of just being still, being in the present moment, everything, God and the universe is going to bring everything to you. Living witness, feeling like you don't have, at times, and throughout my life, damn man, I didn't have any, I didn't have my friends there or whatever type shit. And then to still be here to tell the story. That's a telltale sign right there. And I know I'm not the only one that's been through shit like that, or someone else is going to go through that. And everybody's got their own life, and no entitlement, no expectations, you know what I'm saying? And hopefully you can check your ego, so no ego, and you'll be fine. Just trusting, learning to trust the universe is a challenge, right? It's definitely much challenge, especially if you don't believe in it. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to trust in something that you don't believe in. But once you learn to let go, life becomes a hell of a lot easier. Trying to hold on to shit is what gets us in a lot of trouble. Holding on to the past, holding on to anger, holding on to grudges, holding on to relationships that are weathering away. You know what I mean? And you have to accept shit. But that's kind of when That's kind of like what I do when those feelings of being overwhelmed overcome me, and that's my way out of it. Just sit back, and just kind of assess the situation, and then try to justify whether or not it determines that it's requiring that fear, if you will. What lie do you tell yourself the most? Out loud? The lie I tell myself, more so is like in my head, and it'll show in character and perfectionism and all that stuff. Is that you're not good enough. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm like there's self-esteem. There's self-esteem there. At times it can feel very, very high, and there's times where it can feel very, very humbling. I won't say low, let's just call it humbling. It's a humbling experience, right? Bring you back down to reality. And when that happens, what I like to do is remember that I'm human and not get so caught up in my ego as much as possible. And when I do that, I'm able to see things from a different perspective. I have to remember all the rules and all the lessons that I've learned over time. Was when you're spazzing, you're running off of, survival mode. So you're in panic, and you're going to respond like that of a person in panic, not so much a logical individual who has the knowledge. Because, I got the knowledge for it. But I'm still a student though. I'm learning every day. I'm learning from my peers, and I'm learning from my peers when they go through shit, and their ways of responding to it. And some people that are just strong, man. They have a good way of holding in the emotional aspect. Doesn't mean they don't feel it, but they know how to hone it in and still perform. Like, I'll say this. When I learned about my uncle passing, right? My Uncle Kevin, God rest his soul. Everyone else is, going through, like, they're in shambles emotionally, just an emotional wreck. And my grandma, my grandma, she, a rock. That's got to be years and years of training, of mental training, inadvertent mental training, I believe, that has allowed her to withstand that. Because it was like I was on FaceTime with her because I wasn't home. I wasn't in Maryland when this, where the situation happened. But I was in Florida. I was on FaceTime with her, or Messenger video, whatever, video messenger. And I'm talking to her, and she's talking to me about it as if she just, like you just didn't lose your son. And, no parent should ever have to bury their child. And, you know what I'm saying? But it amazed me. It was inspiring. I know that eventually she was going to crack it, and eventually she did. But, like, to see her poise within that moment, it really I was confused. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, what the fuck is wrong right now that you're not losing your shit, type of thing. But also understanding that she knows her role. The role that she chosen in our family to be this strong figure for everyone, the backbone of this family, as far as like my mom's side goes. And it's inspiring, you know what I mean? It's mad inspiring. And but all in all, like we get we get down on ourselves, and we lose sight of how strong that we are. And I will tell you, I got some Avengers that I got for friends. You know what I'm saying? Like people that are, they're super, I mean, they've chosen to be superheroes in their region. You know what I mean? And sometimes they get hard on themselves and they forget how fucking dope they are, just as I do. You know what I'm saying? But when you sit and because again, a lot of us have told ourselves that we're not good enough. Not a good enough mother, not a good enough father, not a good enough son, good enough daughter. You know what I'm saying? Just trying, worker, athlete, entertainer, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Whatever our thing is, it just keeps us going. And it's not that we shouldn't embrace it, right? Like perfectionism is just a part of me. And that's part of my work ethic. What I have to learn to do is not beat myself up once a mistake is made and go into shame and, you know what I'm saying, and hiding, if you will. But to recognize that perfectionism was developed from what we went through. And it's also helped become a part of what makes your work ethic your work ethic. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to remove it is like removing a part of something that's a part of your makeup. And it's just there. You just use it. You continue to work your best. I mean, that's pretty much what perfectionism is. Like, at least in my perspective, like keeping that aspect, still working as hard as you can towards your goals. Just like reminding yourself when you do make a mistake that it's there for you to learn from. It's there to show you another way of getting something done. You're not a failure because you failed. You just have to try another way of making it work. And a lot of us, whether we're trying to reach our kids, whether we're trying to work on a project at the job, whether we're trying to plan parties and shit for our families, and families don't want to cooperate or whatever, you know what I'm saying, whatever your shit is, you know what I'm saying, you have to remember that you're human. You have to be gentle with yourself. You have to remind yourself that you're doing the best you can with the knowledge you have, and let it inspire you. Let your failures inspire you to work even harder, like not quitting. And that's an issue that I would have, and goes back to the not being good enough. So whenever I had a fixed mindset, so whenever I would do something and then I failed, I didn't do something right, or somebody didn't like what I did, I was, being a people pleaser, I just felt not good enough, and, immediately running to shame. Shame is like the emotion that I would shoot to, and trying to be perfect. Trying to be the best whatever, the best daddy, the best co-worker, the best friend, the best, best enemy, best everything, you know what I'm saying? But if I failed, then that means I wasn't best. I was flawed now, so I don't want to try anymore. And that's a flaw. That's definitely a flaw that I know I see in myself. And that I've been, again, working through. And as I'm sure other people are doing the same, maybe not voicing it, but, none of us are perfect, man. Some of us are better at hiding our shit and don't talk about it, like the way that this show is pretty much, directed around, is talking about your shit, blaring it to the world, what's going on in your mind. And, it's growth. There's growth in that. And it's helped. It definitely helped. I say like doing this show has definitely allowed me to be a lot more open about shit, sharing certain information. Like I said, just because you're open doesn't mean everything should be shared. There's a time and a place for that. And depending on the relationship and what you have with that individual will determine that information that gets revealed. But that I'm not good enough is what I tell myself. the lie I tell myself the most. And I'm far more greater than that mindset, you know, as far as like feeling that you're not good enough. But I use it to push me, you know. It allows me to take it to the max when I need to. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I have my moments where I get down about shit. I isolate myself from the world, and me and my ego have one big ass fight. We do. I keep, you know, being told you're not good enough. You should stop. You should quit doing this, man. You shouldn't do the podcast. You shouldn't do these shows. You know, you're not what you say you are, and all this other shit. You know what I'm saying? But then I remember that I'm here to learn, along with my peers, and like inspire. Truthfully, like allow somebody to see themselves within me, something that I'm going through, and maybe they'll start their own shit too, and inspire me to do whatever, you know, they talk about, man. Because what we're dealing with right now is a serious mental health issue in the world, as we see through recent news about, you know, people passing. You know, I was at work, and a friend of mine sent me the link about, you know, Twitch from the Ellen DeGeneres show passing away. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what happened, but it's a self-inflicted gunshot wound, as far as what we've been told. I mean, I have my theories with conspiracies and shit like that, but it's not the time for it right now. Like, again, something came out later that it was foul play, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's just say that. But I also know that there are people that are going through a lot mentally, more than what people know for sure. And especially around this time of the year, the holiday season. So if I can leave anything before closing out this particular topic, is to be kind. Remember to be kind to everyone, really. You know what I'm saying? Like, show unconditional love. Now, in the spirit of being kind, also know that unconditional love does not mean unconditional tolerance. So you have to have healthy boundaries. For individuals who are just hell-bent, they have built up so much pain that they want to project it onto you. You have to protect yourself from individuals like that, because you love yourself. You know, if you didn't love yourself, you'd allow the person to tear you down and stay in a relationship with them, or, you know what I mean? You got to value yourself. You're more than just what that individual is spilling out in their pain towards you. But remember to be kind, right? It's a lot going on. It really is. A lot of people battling a lot of shit in their head, you know what I'm saying? Bigger than what we give it justice for. So I am signing off. But before I do, I just want to wish everyone positive and healing energy through this point in life and going forward. You know, remind those people that you value. Not just that you love them, but that you value them in your life. And yeah, that's it. So be kind.